Morning, Ron.
Hey, good morning, Corey.
How are you?
You know, I'm doing darn good. Yourself?
Not too bad.
All right.
Yeah, the sun is shining. It's not raining on us.
It's not too hot yet.
No, that's the really good thing.
And the kids aren't riding by on their
They're in
bicycle.
school.
Yeah.
They started school yesterday, so
Really?
yeah.
You mean went physically to a school?
No, they just started the online schools.
Oh, of course.
So
Of course.
yeah, so all the kids in the parks are gone.
Oh.
It's quiet.
I kind of miss them. Not. So what's the topic today?
Well, today I think we wanted to talk about what is an individual contributor and why that role is important for business, but why it's also important to realize that that role has its place, and as you transition out of that role, why it's important to recognize when you transition out of that role.
I've done that many times. Go back and forth. And I always kind of relish that. It was almost like a vacation when I went back to my individual contributor role. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I didn't have that I was a manager and had all that responsibility. Then at one time I was a recruiter. You know, and that was nothing but fun, calling people, getting to come to work for you, and it was a relief to not have all that responsibility. A lot of people forget that when they take on a management role.
I had a role of quite severe responsibility, and did it for about 6 years. And they got to the end of that and I said, I don't want to be in charge of people for a while.
Yeah.
I intentionally looked for a job that I didn't have to. And so when I was offered a job at the bottom, I was like, yes, I'll be happy to take this.
Right.
I don't have to worry about other people. You pay me to do my job, and I was very happy with that. Did that for a while before they realized, well, wait a minute, you're sandbagging here. We're gonna promote you anyway. It's like, oh, all right, fine.
Yeah. A lot of people, when they get promoted, they think, great, you know, more money, prestige. This is going to be wonderful, you know, gonna live the good life.
Yeah, it's not
And the
necessarily
first day
the case.
they run into a people problem or something, they go, wait a minute, I don't remember that being in the job
Wait,
description.
this is my problem now?
So I think you had a great definition for an individual contributor, so we want to clarify that starting out.
So I think if we look at it, it is an individual who reports to someone else who has nobody else reporting to them. So their tasks, their labor, their efforts is what they're contributing.
Right.
And so that's where the individual side of it comes from.
Exactly.
They are that. They are the tactician. They are the ones who are doing the work.
They're executing that job every day, focused mostly on the work that has to be done that day, usually. Sometimes they're doing a little planning for the next day. Pretty much that's their role.
Yep.
And I remember that role well. You talked about that kind of relief. I remember working in a warehouse, and all I was responsible for getting those parts ready for the next operation. And at 5 o'clock when I went home, I never thought another thing about.
Yep. No telephone calls. Hey, I can't come into work tomorrow. Hey. Yeah. I had. So when I first joined the military, I was put in a position of authority over a group of about 300.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a
How
hell
old were you
it was
when
a
you
hell
had
of a
those?
wake-up call. 18.
8?
And I got put in charge of the entire group for a weekend. So all of the, we'll call them adult, kind of the vision you're seeing, right? All of the seasoned military individuals, they were all gone for the weekend. It was just me in charge of the whole thing. And it happened to be the weekend that a hurricane was coming. So I had to now become responsible for doing a recall. And it was my job to make sure that everybody got recalled. And the first people that I recalled were the ones who really needed to be there to make sure that we did this thing right. And I would also have occasions where I'd be woke up in the middle of the night because one roommate and another roommate got in a fight or a disagreement about something, so they had to wake me up to come and handle it and take care of that and figure out what had to happen. And
one question.
Yes.
Did you have any training to handle?
No.
Yeah,
No.
Right.
Absolutely not. It was all, what do I think is best for what's going on?
You know, what's funny about that is there's very little training. I've worked for pretty big companies, and even in the big companies, there's very little training for that person, that individual contributor, when they become a manager of people, like thrown into your job. There's very little training regarding what do you do when those things happen.
Yep.
I mean, I'm breaking out a cold sweat just thinking about that situation you were in, because I remember that when I first started having those things pop up. I'm a manager now. I don't know how to break those two up if they're having this fight, or how do you handle employees that are bickering or quarreling, or you just rely on your own experience.
You hope they can be adults.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Which sometimes, yes, sometimes things get a little out of control. But yeah, being thrown into that position, you and I were talking about this earlier, and it was an expression or a saying that was brought before me. You have the actual name for it, but when you take an individual who's really good at what they did as a tactician. These are the things we're going to do. These are the steps I'm going to do. This is the process I'm going to follow. I'm really good at this. And the natural assumption is, well, if you're good at doing it, you can be good at helping other people do it too. And so you find yourself put in a position of responsibility of other people's work. But you may not have the skill set needed for that. You may be great at doing the job, but not necessarily great at managing the job. So you find yourself promoted one level above your ability.
Yes, what I've seen and my observation has been that if you're moved into a management role, you probably have to learn at least about 20 new competencies. You might have a few of them naturally, but even those few have to be refined to put you in that industrial setting or that business setting. So can you imagine that we just assume that person we promote as that great salesperson, that great engineer, that great technician, that great cookie baker, can actually run or manage a unit, a business, an operation? No, there's about 20 skills you've got to get really good at really fast.
And none of them are related to the technical or tactical
Zero.
work of what you were doing before.
Right. So you use that wonderful word that you and I learned real early when we went into the business world, was never assume. Right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I learned that in the military. Yeah.
Well, I tell you, I had a manager when I said that word first. I think I was 18, and he went over the board and he wrote down, "Ass, you, me."
Yeah, never assume.
Never assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. And he looked at me like, don't ever use that word. So you assume that you're going to promote this great salesperson, they're going to be a great manager. Maybe. And they may be wonderful people. But what I've seen is you typically lose, if you promote your greatest salesman, you're losing a great salesperson to get a not so good manager. Or what happens, and I've seen more times than not, is so that great salesperson gets promoted to a regional manager, what have you, out there, and they spend 90% of their time out there doing what they used to do, selling, doing the job they're good at, and about 10% of the time trying to manage
and teach.
Yeah,
yeah,
do all the rest that they should be doing. And the person from the head shed calls them and says, "I haven't got your sales report in." I'm not real good at doing that. You know, you and I have heard that a million times, and it still amazes me that maybe a lot of the bigger companies and middle-sized companies have learned to put their training programs in or development programs in, or even have interviews or testing before they promote the person to find out, do they have any of those skills or even the aptitude, or do they even want to?
So I looked at a job application process for a very big company recently, and went through and looked at everything that they did, and I was really, really impressed. You had to go through 3 different tests. One was, here's 8 situations. What are you most likely to do and least likely to do? Then another one was, here's the technology and the way we run our reports. Can you figure out information from these reports?
Wow, that's important today with all the data that flows through companies.
And then the next one was that personality report of what kind of person are you? How do you handle situations? And I'm sitting there going through this, going, wow, this is really impressive. They're not hiring based on what your resume says. That gets you the first step.
Yeah, that's a marketing tool to get into the door.
And they know it.
Yeah.
Everybody's resume is never a true snapshot of what they can and can't do.
It's probably not a lie per se, but it's a marketing tool.
Yep.
So
it's commercial.
I wonder if that same big company that you're talking about, and there are some impressive tools that they use today. Do they do that when they promote somebody? That'd be interesting.
That would be a good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have to answer and go through the same tests when we're promoting you, or are we assuming that because you've been working under this role that you know these tools and you know this mindset that you have to be in this new role? I had a great boss, and he and I talked a lot. He was one of my mentors, and he would go back and he would say, I've learned one thing over the years, and that salespeople don't make good managers. It's like, they're great salespeople, and I don't want to take them out of that role.
Right? Why would you?
And I don't need a salesperson to be a manager of salespeople. I need a manager to be a manager of salespeople. And he also taught me a couple other things. That's where I start talking about strategist or generalist and tactician, because it is a mindset change when you go from being the one doing the work to being the one responsible for the work. And that mind shift change is one of the huge things I think that you need to understand from the very beginning when you start to make this transition from an individual contributor to a more managerial type role, or even not even a managerial type role. We talked about entrepreneurs who do this.
Oh, I think entrepreneurs are managers, even if they don't have anybody reporting to them. They've got to have that mindset.
They're business owners.
They're business owners.
Which is a whole job in and of itself.
Right.
So it's different from understanding how to turn a wrench and when to turn a wrench, to understanding how do I keep that customer happy? How do I bill them? How do I find them? How do I market to them? How do I not how do I keep myself out of jail?
Yeah.
Those are all things that it's a completely different job, which is why those jobs exist. That's why big corporations have CEOs and they have boards. And they have boards of people whose whole job is to keep the company and keep people out of jail.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't do very well, and sometimes some people go to jail, but
not for the most part.
not for the most part. But it's a job running a business.
Absolutely.
And doing the work of the business is where, as the entrepreneur, you need to realize my mindset needs to change. So I think the next time that we get together, I think we're going to talk about that a little bit. I think we're going to talk about this mind shift change.
We'll talk about that. I mean, we could probably go on all day about that, but we'll keep it down to our 20, 30 minutes.
Yep.
It's a good topic, wonderful topic. It's a shift of how you think and look at things and plan and scheduling versus doing. To be the best doer in the world. But in order to be an entrepreneur, a manager, you got to have a different mindset.
Yep.
That's a great topic.
Yep.
We'll do that.
I'm looking forward to it.
All right.
And for those of you watching us live, thank you again for watching us live. If you're watching us as a recording, again, thank you for watching us as a recording. If you find value in this, please share it. If there's a question that you have, please feel free to put it in the comments. We'll be happy to look at it and probably even add it as a topic. And we look forward to seeing everybody next time.
You're Corey?
I'm Corey. And you're Ron.
I'm Ron.
We'll see everybody next time.
All right.